One of the most important concerns that automobile purchasers and dealers are currently dealing with is rising inflation. Many businesses, including the automobile industry, are experiencing serious difficulties as a result of this. Following a record-breaking year 2020, electric vehicle investors in particular are experiencing a difficult year. A rise in inflation worries has added to the list of concerns that have been weighing on the stock of electric vehicle companies. The stock of Tesla, the leader of the electric vehicle pack, was also not immune to the inflation effect. Manufacturers' rising costs invariably necessitate the need for additional funds, which is exactly what we'll be addressing today in this video. And who will be forced to bear the burden of inflation? Stay tuned. Welcome back to New Vehicle Media, your go-to channel for EV stock. Quick reminder that subscribing is free and liking the video will help YouTube suggest similar content. Comments are loved and featured in future videos. With inflation, we mean a steady rise in the price of goods and services over a given period of time in the economy. Some perceive inflation as a symptom of a faltering economy, while others see it as a sign of prosperity. The coronavirus has forced many people to make difficult decisions about their businesses and general lives. Humans were confronted with unforeseen circumstances. They were under the impression that they were in command, but instead everything that was quote-unquote normal vanished in an instant, including the way we went about our daily lives and performed ordinary actions, such as buying milk or going down the street. Now is the time to confront the alteration of our current routines and establish a quote-unquote new normal. In addition to the pandemic, the economy is undergoing inflation, with the price of products and services steadily increasing over time. It devalues currency units such as the US dollar and the euro, resulting in greater living costs. Pandemics are friends to inflation, and both are making life expensive for consumers. The effects of excessive inflation are similar to those of a parasite, eating away at savings and draining the life force out of the economy. Moreover, it has a negative impact on stock values, particularly those of pricey growth businesses that are expected to generate the vast majority of their cash flows in the foreseeable future. Inflation in auto industry. The first thing we should talk about is vehicle prices. Over the course of this year, we've witnessed firsthand the influence that increasing automobile prices can have on overall inflation. The semiconductor shortage has resulted in production cuts for new automobiles and pricing of used vehicles through the roof. Continental AG, Europe's second-largest supplier of automobile parts, has warned that a global supply of bottleneck in chip production, combined with a raw material price inflation, will have a negative impact on the auto sector during the rest of 2021. This short-term disruption in the distribution of automotive semiconductors has grown into a long-term problem that is driving average new and used vehicle pricing to luxury car levels, causing inflation fears to rise and sparking concern in the White House. According to Cox Automotive, average new vehicle costs have surpassed $42,000, while used vehicle prices have risen to roughly $25,000 by average. According to the U.S. Labor Department, used automobile prices have increased 45% in the last year, accounting for more than one-third of overall consumer prices in the month of June 2021. While electric vehicle prices just started declining, they might have been hit by another wall on the way to electrification of transport. Auto manufacturers might argue that they have made significant improvements in production efficiencies, but researchers believe that these improvements will be outweighed by rises in the pricing of battery raw materials. In the best-case scenario, we can expect the savings from efficiency and rising cost of raw materials would cancel each other out, and that EV pricing will remain unchanged. But wait a minute, maybe it's not that horrible after all. Isn't it true that one of the main selling aspects of electric vehicles is that their running costs are significantly lower than those of conventional vehicles? Due to the fact that an electric vehicle's powertrain has significantly fewer moving parts than an internal combustion engine, it's expected to require less maintenance, resulting in cheaper maintenance costs. When compared to conventional automobiles, electric vehicles have a maintenance cost that is around 40% lower on average. So, straight-out operating costs of EVs are going to be lower, as are the cost of maintenance and repair. Vehicles powered by electricity are far more straightforward than vehicles powered by internal combustion engines. An electric vehicle engine has approximately 20 moving components, whereas an internal combustion engine has approximately 2,000 moving parts. As a result, electric vehicles are expected to require significantly less maintenance and servicing over time. However, it will not be zero because there are additional features that would incur additional costs, such as tire changes. Aside from that, electric vehicle owners should be mindful of the cost of insurance, which, due to the higher value of the vehicle, is more expensive than those for conventional vehicles. Furthermore, there are other costs associated with automobile ownership, and a buyer should be aware of these. With regards to automobile purchases made with credit, we're referring to financing fees. If the cost of an EV exceeds the cost of an ICE, then it is certainly reflected in non-cash purchasers' monthly financing charges. So it's very much a mixed outlook. EVs are going to be inflationary for cash buyers and those buying on credit who drive short distances, while they will be neutral or deflationary for those who lease their vehicles or who travel vast distances in their personal vehicles. That is especially important for people who live in huge countries such as the United States, but it is also significant for those who live in places such as Europe and China, where typical driving distances are shorter and most vehicles are used mainly for the commute to and from the workplace. The conclusion: inflation is perhaps the most recent issue facing the stock market. One issue is increased competition in the EV market, which is exacerbated by major automakers putting billions of dollars into developing vehicles. At the same time, a global shortage of semiconductors is limiting automotive production around the world, making it difficult for electric vehicle manufacturers to capitalize on the burgeoning demand for automobiles and the rising price of gasoline. Due to unavoidable circumstances, consumers will almost certainly face greater expenditures as a result of this event. The automobile business is confronted with a number of issues, with inflation being the most significant. Increased costs must be passed on to someone. The consumer will bear the brunt of these additional costs as a result of higher pricing and more expensive rates of car financing. What are your thoughts on the matter? Is it true that numerous barriers are currently hitting EV sectors, or does inflation affect all industries in the same way? Let us know in the comments section. Wayne admits that he used to admire the General Motors Corporation, but that things have changed now that none of the cars are within his financial reach. This supports our video today as well because, as we've discussed, the customer will be the one who bears the brunt of the higher expenses and inflationary pressure. That should wrap things up for today. Keep in mind that subscribing's still free and liking helps YouTube recognize your preferences. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.